to The Wedding Crashers, a video and podcast series where wedding photographer Anna Bating interviews wedding day professionals in an effort to assist couples in planning their dream wedding days. Today with me, I have wedding painter Debbie Bowman to talk about live wedding portraits. Hi, Debbie. Thank you so much for joining us on today's podcast. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your business, and how you serve brides and grooms on their wedding days.
Hi, Anna. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here, my first ever podcast, so very, very exciting. A little bit about myself. I am an artist. I live in Pierre, South Dakota, and I actually just kicked off my art business last year during a pandemic. What better time, right? But I've been an artist basically my whole life. As soon as I could take the art elective classes in school, like that was my jam, my favorite class. Like that's what I was all about. Up until college, I studied for a time at SCSU for studio art painting. So yeah, art has just always been a big part of me. It took a back seat for a while. I got married quite a while ago, and I've been a stay-at-home mom for the past about 11 years or so. And my youngest, he started kindergarten this past fall. So I knew leading up to him going to school, being a stay-at-home mom, that I would have a lot more time on my hands with both my kids being in school. So I kind of started to rethink the art thing. And so the past couple of years, I've just been really dedicating a lot more time into my art. And then, of course, the pandemic happened. So what an even better time where I can't go anywhere anyways. So I started my art business, and I actually just started with the idea of doing original artwork, prints, and commissions, which I still do. But then this past fall, I stumbled upon live wedding painting, and I absolutely love it. So now I've added that to my business this past spring. Officially, I launched it basically in March. So it's been a whirlwind, but I absolutely love it. I love painting originals. I love painting what's in my heart, what I love, but I also love painting weddings. I'm so glad that I've found this really awesome little niche.
Yeah, so cool. I have seen so many people like starting to hire these live wedding painters, and it's fun to educate people about what they are like, because what a cool thing where your guests can come and see you capturing their wedding day in a different light than just like a photographer or a videographer. This is really a timeless piece that you can hang in your house forever. So wow, how cool.
Yeah, it really, really is. And, you kind of forget that, people have been getting married since, the dawn of time, since people, and photography wasn't always around. And what did you do? That's the only way to, get these is to paint it. Like that was the original photographer was the painter. And then of course, as soon as photography came around, that kind of went to the wayside. But now it's kind of finding a resurgence. It's definitely a newer thing, like up in our area. I won't say brand new. It's been around, if I had to guess, I'd say about 10, 15 years or so. It's a lot more popular in down south, I'd say on the East Coast, West Coast, where you heavily populated, and that's where the artists are. But in this area, you don't see it too often because you need someone that does it. And as far as I know, in our area, the state, there's only one other artist that does this. So it's just really kind of cool to get back to, the roots of the celebration of capturing the moment. And you got to have a great photographer. You really do. And I tell all the brides that I talk to, I'm not replacing the photographer by any means at all. It's just a really cool new dimension to your wedding. It's a new way of documenting your special day in a way that a photographer doesn't. So yeah, it's really, and what's really cool about what I like is it's a great 2-for-1 is what I tell everyone, because I would say you really need a great photographer. You really, really do. But a photographer doesn't do anything else but take your pictures. That's what she's there for. Whereas a live event painter, you get this beautiful piece of artwork that is going to become a family heirloom one day. You're going to hang on your wall immediately, and like your kids and grandkids are probably going to fight over this painting one day when you're gone. But on the other hand, I'm also there. I'm entertainment at your wedding. It's very, like I said, it's very new idea in this area, especially not a lot of people have seen a wedding painter or even they might have heard of it, but they've probably maybe never even seen it. So I'm there and they get to watch this painting come to life throughout the evening, which is really, really cool. And like I said, it's so new. It kind of brings up fanciness of the day a notch, and it's a lot of fun. So it's a great 2-for-1. You get this awesome piece and then you get some really cool and fun entertainment for your guests.
Yeah, totally. That's so cool. I'm so glad that you mentioned about like how in the past, before photography was a thing, this is how you captured your wedding day. What a cool heirloom to pass on. Thank you for mentioning that. So we're going to jump into a few questions that I've had from viewers, a few questions that I have personally for you.
Yeah.
And tell us anything more that you have that comes to mind. But our first question here was, how did you get into art and why did you choose wedding painting? Which you kind of answered a little bit more, but you said like high school was, kind of the start of your art career. Yeah, tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, like I said, like I think middle school was like when you first, when you were able to choose multiple classes that weren't math, science and stuff. Like art was like the one I really wanted to do. I didn't care about anything else. And I continued taking that through high school and college. And I actually was an exchange student for a year in England, my junior year of high school. And over there, their last 2 years of high school is a lot different than ours. And they actually it's not called high school, it's called sixth form college. So I went there during sixth form college, and they only take 4 subjects because you're prepping to go to university. So these 4 subjects you take are directed towards what you're going to study in university. Well, 3 of the subjects I had to take in order to graduate when I went back home didn't have an option. So then the last one, I was like, I'm taking art, duh. Well, it was the most intense class I've ever taken, and the most intense. Like I would spend 20 hours a week just doing art homework in high school. It was insane. And but I absolutely loved it. It was hard. I think I even like got a C on the class or something. Like it wasn't easy by any means, which is crazy because normally art is a breeze. Even if you're not that great at it, you just turn in stuff and you get the grade. But I absolutely loved it. I was like, if I can spend this amount of time on this subject and be happy, then maybe this is something I should actually look at doing. So then I went back home, I did my senior year, I graduated, and then I went to SCSU to study art. So that's how I decided to pursue it. Of course, I took a break because while I was in college, if I would have been in college today, I think my life would look a lot different than back then, because back then it was, if you graduate with an art degree, I'm like, what do I do with this? I don't want to be a teacher. So then what? Because it's back then, it was the internet was still, there was Facebook, but it was not what it is today. And Instagram was Instagram? I don't remember, but this was about 2006, 2007. But like if I would be going to art school today, it'd be a completely different thing. And I would have dove right in, but instead I took a little break. Which is good. I raised my kids. My kids are now 11 and 6. So now I can focus a little bit more on my business and not so, they're always going to be here and need me, but now that they'll be in school full time, it makes it a little bit easier. But and how I got into wedding painting, as an artist, I love surrounding myself with other artists if I can. And I love Instagram, TikTok and Instagram. I love it. And I have a lot of artists that I follow. And I started noticing that a lot of my favorite artists that are from like the South, like South Carolina, Georgia, Louisiana, some of them would post about them going to weddings and painting weddings. And I was like, hold up, this is a thing? Yeah. That's really cool. So that's how I found out about it, through Instagram, like seeing artists that I follow doing it themselves. So then I started thinking about, hey, could I do that? Could I paint? Like I could paint a wedding, no problem, but the live part in front of people, can I do that part? So I actually had a good friend get married this past September in Sioux Falls, and I originally wasn't supposed to be able to make the wedding. My husband was in the wedding. It was his best friend since like middle school. So the entire family was invited, and I wasn't supposed to be able to go because I didn't want to take my kids because of COVID and everything. So I just said, I'll stay home and babysit. His parents were going, his sister was going, everyone was going. Well, then last minute, the Thursday before, his parents decided not to go. So then I was like, oh, I can go now. And the week previous, I had given her our wedding gift was I painted their engagement picture. And I was able to deliver that in person the week before, which is amazing. She the couple actually absolutely loved it. And after that, I was like, oh man, it would have been cool to been able to paint their wedding for them as a gift. I was thinking that on my way home. Well, then as soon as my mother-in-law said we're not going anymore, I called her up and I said, can I paint your wedding? This was Thursday night before the wedding. Oh my God. Can I paint your wedding on Saturday? And she's like, what do you mean? Like, literally what it sounds. Can I show up with my easel and canvas and paint your wedding as it happens? And she was just like, okay, as long as you like, are you sure? Like, I want you to enjoy the day and be our guest. Like, no, yes, it'll be great. It'll be fine. Don't worry about me. So that's what I did. I showed up. My husband was a groomsman, so I had to be there early, or he had to be there early anyway. So I showed up, and they got married at Blue Haven in St. Paul, which is a gorgeous venue, great venue to paint. And I painted it, and it was an amazing day. Like, I knew a lot of people there, but I didn't know everyone there. And just the reactions from everyone. I was having the time of my life. Everyone interacting with everyone. It was so much fun. And at the end of the night, the piece was great. The couple loved the piece. And I was like, that's when I decided, you know what? I think I think I found something here.
That's so cool. What a cool story. Oh, that passion is just like, I can tell it just runs through your veins. How cool is that?
It's so much fun. Like, as soon as I found that, I was like, oh, here it is. I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
How cool. That's awesome. Okay, so another question we had, how long does it take you to finish a piece? And does the couple get to take it home with them that night of the wedding? Or is it like maybe a week later it's finished? Or what does the process look like?
That is a great question. Well, right now, I have a few different size options. So the size, for me personally, the size the painting does determine how long it's going to take. My smallest one is a 60 by 20. I can get that done in the time frame of a wedding. I usually show up about 2 to 3 hours before the event and start painting in the background, and then I keep painting throughout the night. I do stop during the exact moments that I'm painting to take a bunch of reference photos. I'm not completely magical. I don't have the perfect memory that I can just look at it and then get it down. I do have the assistance of my camera and phone to help me. But so I take some reference photos, and then I get back to painting, and I paint throughout the night. And I'm there till almost the end of the night. I'm there, like most weddings get done around 11 or 12 because they're dancing through the night. I'm usually there until about the same time. One of my favorite parts of the night actually is when I'm done. I don't finish the night of, and maybe as I progress and have a lot more weddings under my belt, hopefully one day I will be able to. But as of right now, I get it to about 90% done. So at the end of the night, when you're looking at it, you can get a really, really good idea of what the painting is going to look like. And I just take it back to my studio, and I just kind of clean it up a little bit, add a little bit more details, more colors, and, clean up the lines and that kind of stuff. So it probably takes me another, depending on the size, 2 to 6 hours at home cleaning it up, depending on the size and what I was able to accomplish at the wedding. But at the end of the night, I do a fun reveal with the bride and groom. It's my favorite part of the entire night. During the day, the bride and groom kind of forget I'm there. I kind of say during the actual day, I'm kind of there for more of the guests as an entertainment, because the bride and groom, they're in their element, enjoying their day as they should. And that's in the night, I seek them out, and then I said, okay, let's see it. And that's just my favorite part of the entire night. It's not completely finished, but like I said, they get a really good idea what it's going to be, and their reaction is like why I'm there. I am the kind of gal, like, I live for a good reaction. Like if you're crying, happy tears, of course. I love it. I just soak it in. It's really what makes the job really worth it for me, just seeing their excitement and their happiness with the piece before it's even actually done. So Yeah. So, I mean, if it's a smaller one and depending on the amount of details, like I said, the 16 by 20, there's a possibility of me getting done, but I do tell all my brides and grooms that I will be taking it home to my studio to finish up. And then you can expect it, a couple weeks after the wedding. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. And that's probably, honestly, I'm just thinking from current bride standpoint, we're getting married this weekend.
I know, congratulations, yay.
But as far as like just the details of the day, if you don't have to take one more thing home with you and it's going to be delivered maybe a couple weeks later after you get home from your honeymoon, it's cool to relive that and like, oh my gosh, yeah, like that just was part of the day and like we finally got it safely delivered home. It's not, in our truck or whatever we're taking. So it's very safely delivered to your front step.
That's a good point. I guess I didn't think about that, but yes, that is a good point. At the end of the night, you don't have to worry about taking the painting home. I will take it home, finish it up. And like I said, and when you'll see it at the end of the night, but then when you get it back eventually, it's going to look even better than the last time you saw it, which, so then when you get back from your honeymoon and you're kind of on the, everything's like, oh, I have to go back to real life. All the fun is kind of over. And then you get this painting and it looks even better than the last time you saw it. Then you're like, yay.
Yeah, it's like another high. I love that. So cool. Okay, kind of one maybe last question. What kind of scenery do you like to paint best? And then as far as like color palettes, what do you usually gravitate towards? Like, I don't know, as an artist myself, I'm an artist in a different way. A photographer, I would say, is a form of art.
Oh, definitely. Yes, for sure. I completely agree.
But I definitely wouldn't have gotten a C in an English art class. I would have failed miserably. So anyways, as far as like your color palettes, what do you gravitate towards and what do you like to paint best?
Those are some great questions. Well, at the moment, I love to paint landscapes. So when I'm painting an original for myself, it's probably going to be a landscape, to be honest with you. One of my favorite scenes to paint is right now I've been working on a lot of Black Hills scenery, just the mountains, hills, just the greenery and all that kind of stuff. That's kind of what I gravitate towards. But the thing about what I love about art and creating is I create for the process of it. It's just very therapeutic, not so much for the end result, but I just love sitting down and painting. It's kind of like working on a puzzle. Like, how can I take this and translate it on here, the steps. And so that's what I love about painting is just the process of doing it. And depending on my mood, I'll kind of just paint depending on my mood. Now, obviously, if it's a wedding, I will paint that. But when I'm on my own, if I want to paint a vibrant, sunny scene, if that's what I'm in the mood for, that's what I'll paint. If it's not gonna lie, the weather like affects what I want to paint. If it's a moody day, I throw on some iron wine and I paint a moody scene. Like it's I don't have one set thing. It's kind of what I'm feeling, what I want to paint. But as far as like weddings go and stuff, I really my goal is to work with the bride and groom together, and I want to paint what their vision is. They've worked for a long time generally to put their wedding together. They've thought really long and hard about every little detail, their flowers, dresses, all that good stuff. And they thought, color palettes, they have their idea and design for their wedding. And so I come in and I want to work with them. And like a photographer captures their day exactly as it happens.
Yep.
Of course, you can filter it a little bit and that kind of thing. But I come in and I want to capture the entire essence of the day. I want to capture on canvas all the details that you've worked really, really hard on. So you're like, right now I love florals and everything. So like that's one of the fun things about weddings is there tends to be a lot of florals, lots of flowers, greenery. So from in my head, the more greenery and flowers that you have at your wedding, the more excited I get, because I love being able to take that and put that in the painting. And I tell my brides, like, that is my goal of this painting. It's not just necessarily a painting of you, like a portrait, like look at us standing here, just the two of us. Like I want to get the feeling of love. I want to get all the details, your floral arrangements, your cake, any of those details that you've spent time and money on. It's what made your day part of it. And I want to include that in the painting, as much of it as I can. So I get there and I look around, and I've discussed with my bride and grooms beforehand what's important to them to be in the painting. And I get there and I kind of scout out the best perspective spots, where I can place them. I try to get the venue, because usually it's a great venue, whether it being inside or outside, with a great view. I try to include that. And then of course, get the table in there, get the cake in there, like just put things, just the masterpiece of your day. Is what you've worked so hard is what I want to put on canvas. So even that means tweaking things, like during the first dance, if you have this beautiful cake and you want the first dance scene, the cake's probably been cut and eaten by now, but I'm going to take that. And if there's a good way to put the cake in there, I'm going to do it, because that was part of your day. You spent a lot of time designing that and all that kind of stuff. Or some of the fun things is if you have as a couple, if you have a pet that's near and dear to you but wasn't at your wedding, I can sneak that pet in there, which is really fun to do. So that's what I enjoy doing, is just creating the special piece of artwork just for the two of you to remember forever and remember that day. There's so many elements going on in your day. It's easy to forget. And a lot of those elements that are just a moment in time. Your flowers fade, the cake gets eaten. So translating that in the canvas into is what I'm there to do, and I really enjoy doing it. How it's fun to think, how can I get all of these fun details into one painting and make it look beautiful and not just all blah thrown together, and capture the love, capture the feeling. So that's what I'm really enjoying doing. And a lot of times, every wedding is unique and different, and I go into every wedding saying, "Oh, this is the most beautiful wedding ever." I love weddings. So this is great that I found this. I absolutely do love weddings. So it's just great because every wedding is different and unique and has its own color palette, own flowers, and it's just really fun to create some new masterpiece each time. So
totally. Oh my gosh. Well, if anyone listening to this right now, I want to work so closely with you, Debbie. So please, couples, book Debbie.
Yes.
On that note, tell us how, if anyone listening to this would like to reach out to you and hear more about your services, how can they find you, and what does your process look like for booking?
All right. Well, I've tried to make it as easy as possible. I am Debbie Bowman Art across all platforms. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. It's Debbie Bowman Art, DEBBIE Bowman. And then I also have a website, which is linked on all those three platforms. Really, whichever way is best for you to reach out to me. And as far as bookings go, I am quickly filling up for this year, which is I'm so excited about. Just like I said, I started the wedding part of my business in March, so my June booked up immediately. My October is already booked up. September is coming quick. So but I do still have some dates for 2021. So if you're interested, reach out for 2021 now. In 2022, I'm already starting to get bookings. So the thing about wedding paintings is there's not that many of us. So if it's something that you really want to add to your day, reach out right away. And I kind of look at it as it's kind of like booking a photographer. I would say is you want to find someone that matches your style, because it's going to be hanging on your wall forever, hopefully. And so it's a style you want to live with, and each artist has their own style, abstract, impressionistic, realism. So you definitely want to look at their portfolio, their style, and make sure it's something that you love and can live with. And again, look at it as an investment, because it's gonna be a family heirloom. Like I said, your kids, grandkids are gonna be fighting over this painting one day. It's gonna be on your wall forever. Every time you look at it, you're gonna think about your day. And so it's something you want to, if it's something that you're interested in, kind of think of it like your photographer. Book it as soon as you can. Think of it as an investment. So
So cool. Yeah, I encourage, especially with so many weddings happening this year and next year, I'm encouraging all brides, anyone that's getting engaged, to find your vendors and book them as soon as possible, because it really is key to getting who you want and their style to match your day. Book as early as possible. So I just want to say thank you so much, Debbie, for joining us today.
Yes, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you really added a whole new perspective to a thing that you can add to a wedding day to make it more spectacular. So I just encourage all brides and grooms listening to reach out to Debbie, just see what she has to offer. She's a great human, as you know, as you guys can tell. And just thank you so much for joining the podcast today, Debbie.
Thank you so much for having me, Anna.